morning, Tottenham fans. I hope you're all doing well today. Transfer window is closed for a few days now, so rumours have died down a bit. So I just wanted to talk today about Thomas Frank because he's basically a Spurs manager now. And I wanted to talk about what he would have to do for it to be seen as a good season next season for Spurs. What's his targets? Because Tottenham are never clear with this. Like, the board are never clear of what they actually want. We can guess what they want because money-wise, they just want Champions League football. We all know that. But what's the targets for these managers? What's the criteria? Because it seems to me that it changes year upon year. You had Conte finishing in top four, didn't back him and he got sacked. Sacked Jose Mourinho a week before a cup final. Obviously sacked Ange Postecoglou for winning the trophy. I know the league form was bad, so I understand the decision. Then you've got other people like Pochettino. That's the worst one of the lot. He had a good side, 3 transfer windows without a signing. There was rumours that Pochettino said that he didn't want any signings, so for me that is a big mistake if that's true. After he gets us to a Champions League final and then gets sacked the season after. What's the criteria for Thomas Frank now to succeed at Spurs? Or does it matter? Is in 2 years' time, is he just going to be sacked like everyone else? It just seems to me like we're always having a rebuild. We're always having, every 2 years, a new manager, or every year. I think we've had 6 managers since 2019. That's not good enough. We need to build on something. You know, I'm getting sick of rebuilding all the time. But to be fair, I think Ange did all the hard work. He's took away the players that were not good enough, bring in some youngsters, done his best with the youngsters, won a trophy, got obviously that monkey off our backs. So the pressure for Frank will be less, I suppose, because we're not desperate for a trophy now, even though we want to build on that and win more, obviously. But we haven't got that you don't win trophies tag anymore, which is good. So what would Frank have to do? Well, first of all, he's coming in. And he's coming into a team that's just won Europa League, had a great bond with their manager, and the fans had a great bond with the manager. Well, I'd say 50-50, 50% wanted Ange to stay, especially after that parade. I think it went up to about 70% because of the emotions. But I think it died back down to about 50% again. I was one that I just wanted to see season 3, just from that phrase that when he said to us, season 3 will be better than season 2. And I just wanted to see it. I just wanted to see what happened. He just built a winning mentality. He got us over the line. He knew, that was so important to this club and he didn't get to see it through. So for me, I'm a bit gutted about that. But now, obviously, we've moved on. We've got Thomas Frank. What will Frank bring to us? For me, I think he would bring more stability defensively. As much as I loved Anne's gun-ho attacks, we were very open at the back at times. And sometimes, even though I was a massive Anjin fan, it was very frustrating. We won't lose the attacking flair with a Frank team. He still likes attacking. If you've watched Brentford this season, they scored 66 goals. They're no pushovers with a very, very low budget. So he knows what he's doing attacking-wise, but he's a little bit more structured in defence. So he might still have that gun-ho football, but at the same time be a little bit safer at the back, just by the style of play. He likes switching things up, so he'll, even during a game, if he thinks it's not going our way, he'll switch it up during the game. He's not afraid to make a substitution, no matter what your name is. He will change things from game to game. He'll change, if we're playing Arsenal, he'll change compared to if we're playing someone who's come up Leeds. So it'll be interesting to watch that sort of thing. He's also pretty decent at improving players. If you ever see any of the Brentford players, I'd say 6 of them came up from the Championship and now playing very, very well in the Premier League. So, people like Mbremo are really hitting the heights now. A lot of teams want him now. Man United are chasing him. Spurs are chasing him. Hopefully he can get that over the line. If he's got attributes to be a steady ship. But do Spurs fans just want a steady ship? after that, tasting that glory? Because for me, it's hard to just... Let me give you some examples. Let's say Thomas Frank finishes 8th and doesn't win a trophy. Would that be underwhelming for you? Or would you see that as progress? Or does it depend on how the season went? If he had a mass injury crisis and still finished 8th and didn't win a trophy, fine. But what if Thomas Frank didn't have an injury crisis? Well, everyone's going to have injuries, but let's say it was only half as bad as what Ange had. Then he finished 8th with no trophy. Would you be underwhelmed by that? Would you say, was it worth sacking Ange for this? Would fans turn on Thomas Frank and just... Because I can see it now. I can see the media doing it for sure. The media will say, Spurs are where Brentford were last season. Frank's not taken them any higher than what Brentford were. So, would that be underwhelming for you? Would Frank have to do more for you to believe in him? Remember, this is his first season. We're going to have to be patient again, and I hate saying it. How many times have we said, got to be patient with the next manager, got to be patient again, got to be patient with this one, it's a rebuild? How many times are we going to hear that? We hear it every time, like since Pochettino. So it's very hard to follow this rebuild, but the more I've looked into Thomas Frank, the more I'm getting confident he will do well with this group of players. We've got a lot of young players. He's very, very good at developing young players. Players that you might not even think would be a good player next season, like a really good player next season. Players like Johnson could improve massively. Archie Gray could improve massively. Even Mikey Moore, if he keeps them around, could improve massively just by the way he attacks. And so you don't know. Even like Matisse Tell, if they keep him on, he could explode next season. We don't know. And that's the thing. It's not a bad appointment. I think it's a really good appointment. It's just an unknown appointment. We just don't know what we're going to get. Like position-wise in the league, we don't know if we're going to win something. Let's say he wins the Super Cup straight away. Bang. He's done it then. He's no pressure for the rest of the season. He can concentrate on league form next season. He's already won a trophy. Fine. You're done. You've got a Super Cup. Best team in Europe. Now let's go and do well in the league. Spurs have a lot more resources than Brentford had. A lot more. Like, I'm telling you, a lot more. Frank done really well with the Brentford wages that he had there. Like, the income there was insanely lower than what we've got. And so if he can use that wisely and bring in a couple of players that he needs to fulfill his systems, he has potential to really do well. If you ask anybody at Brentford, nobody has a bad word to say about him. So I'm a little bit excited. I think he can do well. I really do think he can do well. So let's talk about ins and outs as well. Like, do you think if he's going to do a rebuild, let's do it properly? So, in my opinion, players like Richarlison, Ben Davies, Bissouma, Sonny. Now, I know the last one, Sonny, you're thinking, what? You want to get rid of Sonny? To be fair, I think Sonny would fit brilliantly in a Thomas Frank system. I just think he would thrive and probably score a lot more goals. We'd probably see the best of Sonny. So if he stays, I'm all for it. He's still, for me, still got it. I still think he's clinical. I'd love it if he stayed. But is this the best time for him to leave? Best for us and best for him. He's just won a trophy after 10 years as a captain. No, there's no better way of going out than that. And if Saudi come in with a £60 million offer, is that too much to turn down for a 32-year-old legend that's won a trophy with us now, that could move on as a champion, as a hero, as a legend, and give the club 60 million because he's on the last year of his contract? We can replace him with top quality and pay high wages because he's on 190k a week. Ben Davies, I know they've just extended his contract, but what I mean with him is, did they extend his contract so they can get some money for him? Because I wouldn't be surprised if they still sold him if the right deal came in. If somebody offered 10 million for Ben Davies, I think the club would take it. And his wages as well. He's on £80,000 per week, so that's another wage bill off. Then you've got Bissouma. He's on the last year of his contract, so I'm pretty sure that he may be sold. There's been interest from Fenerbahce already, so You know, he's on 55,000. I thought it was on more than this, but he's on £55,000 per week. He could be sold. Then who else did I say? So we said Sonny, Biss, Dave, Richarlison. Richarlison's on £90,000 per week. Never plays, always injured. When he does play, I love his heart, I love his effort, but I just don't think he's got that quality to really play in the Champions League. I don't think he's good enough. I've never seen a Brazilian with a poorer touch as he's got. And I think it's because he's always injured that when he's coming back, he's always coming back to match sharpness, and he just never looks sharp. He just never looks sharp to me. And so if we took away those four players, that's 415k per week that we would be able to put in the kitty to try and attract some top quality players. Is it time we just sold these players and had a proper rebuild? I think it is. I really do. I think it would be a good idea to do that. And, you know, we've already got like players like Reguilon. Reguilon, by the way, was on £78,000 per week at Spurs and never played. Can you imagine that? £78,000 a week. Forster was on £75,000 a week. He's gone now. Timo Werner, £165,000 per week. If you total all of these off, the four players that I said if we sold them, and the players that have already gone on the big wages, that's 742k per week that would be up if those 7 went out the door. So for me, if you want to rebuild and you want Frank to come in, stamp his authority, and you want to rebuild, do it properly. Then he can bring in 4 top quality players to fit his system. We definitely need a DM, and there's so many DMs out there as well, by the way. There's so many DMs. Like, if we don't sign a DM this summer, it would be criminal, because there's so many that could be available. You got Paulina from Bayern, who is unsettled at the moment, who we could get for about 30 mil, which I think would be the bargain of the summer. He was a brilliant DM in the Premier League, lots of Premier League experience. He was one of the best DMs in the Premier League when he was there for Fulham. You've got Douglas Luiz. He used to play for Aston Villa in a DM, and he was solid as well. You've got this Hjulmand. He's only 24 years old. He's like a Danish Conor Gallagher, full of energy, strong to tackle, never stops running. You know, and his Danish connection maybe with Thomas Frank, so that might work. There's loads more. I can't think of them off the top of my head. There's a Swedish guy, Larsson, as well. He could connect with Kulusevski and Bergvall. He can play in the DM role, and he's only 21 years of age, but he's already a pretty experienced player. So there's just bundles of DMs around that we could sign. We need, if we obviously got Sonny and Richarlison off the books, we're going to need forward players. And for me, if we brought Mbeumo in and Eze, you know, that would transform our attack straight away. But we'd probably need another number 9. But I've got a feeling that Thomas Frank might utilise Brennan Johnson as a number 9 and have Solanke as a number 1. That might even happen yet as well. So we need cover at the back, but not too much. Like before, I thought we'd need more cover, but we've got centre-backs. We've got Romero, Van der Ven, Danso, and Dragushin if Davis leaves. That's 4. We've got Vuskovic coming in and Ashley Phillips. That's 6. Are they good enough to rotate Premier League and Champions League? That remains to be seen. Vuskovic just got his international debut. He's only just turned 18. He's got his international debut with Croatia the other day. So congratulations to him. And if he's getting an international debut, he can't be a bad player, can he? Especially Croatia are not no mugs either. So that's a good sign. That's good, something good to see. Ashley Phillips had a really good loan spell out in Stoke. He could come in and do really well. So we might not even need to buy a centre-back. I think it'll be decent if we can buy a left-sided centre-back that can play left-back to give us that little bit more cover, to rotate a little bit more. Somebody that's pretty quick. So Van der Ven's pretty injury-prone. Somebody that can cover him with a bit of pace, that would be good. And just, the forward areas. I just think if Frank can get that bit right, if he gets backed, like none of our managers get what they want, but if he does get what he wants and he gets backed and he gets the players in that he wants, what is the realistic scenario for you to say, right, Frank's the man? if Frank got us, let's say, in the top 5, and I think at the moment that would be a Champions League place. He got us top 5. I know we went out in the group stages in the Champions League and got to a quarter-final of a cup. Would you be happy with that? I think I'd be happy with that in the first season. You know, if we was competing with the big boys and we finally beat Arsenal, because it's taken a long time, beat Chelsea at Stamford Bridge or something like that, because he's very, very good with Brentford at beating the top sides. So if he can translate that to Spurs, I'd be very happy with that too. So if he can get into the top 5, obviously not win a trophy, but the second season is important. If he could get a trophy in the second season, say an FA Cup, or if he finished 5th, let's say he finished 6th, and we got into the Europa League, and he won that, and we won it again. Can you imagine that? That would be good. that would be very good. I think we're going to have to be very patient. We can't jump down his throat if he has a bad start. We can't start throwing these narratives at him that he's never won. We already know that. A lot of fans were calling for this guy when Ange was in charge because he's more pragmatic, he's more stable, he changes his tactics. That's what we all asked for. So I don't want to hear now that he plays boring football, he's too pragmatic, he never wins things, he's a mid-table coach. I don't want to hear none of that, because all you guys that were Ange out were asking for this type of manager. Now, I think Frank will do very, very well. I really do. I think he will be in the top 6 next season. But again, if he has the horrendous injury record like Ange, it could derail his season too, because I don't care what manager you are. If you have a really injury hit season, you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle massively. And if he struggles in the league with an injury hit season and doesn't win a trophy, does he deserve to get sacked? Because Ange deserved to get sacked. They have to be treated the same, surely. But it's his first season, so is he going to get a bit of leeway? Tired of rebuilds? Let's just hope that this one is not a rebuild, and this is not just a standard season. This is something that Frank comes in and goes, right, I'm not going to be mediocre anymore. I want to aim for the top. Let's hope so. Pochettino came in, remember? He never won anything with anybody and almost took us to the top. We were so close to winning the league, so close to winning the Champions League. Let's hope that Frank can just go that one step further and get over the line. Let me know in the comments what you think. What do you think would be a good season for Thomas Frank next season? What would you be happy with? What do you think is a sackable offence next season? Thank you for watching, and come on you Spurs.